I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Silly Jedi! Silly Jedi!
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Hello, what have we here?
Hello there.
At last! Where have you been?
Nice of you guys to drop by.
Ah, good. New acquisitions.
I don't know. I have a bad feeling about this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Star Wars Car Talk on this very blizzardy morning here in the Northeast. We got hit with some, we got hit with a lot of snow. I mean, I think ultimately we got hit with almost 2 feet of snow. And yesterday we got to hang out at home and work from home, which is always nice. Although nice in the sense that it's always nice to be home, but also it's hard to get a lot of stuff done when you're home with 3 boys that are being homeschooled. So it's always a little tricky to maneuver around there and not end up becoming a teacher's assistant throughout the day. But it's good to be on the road again today. Props to all the brave souls that go out and make sure our roads are salted and plowed and clean. As I got my snow equipment here, my shovel and my car cleaner thing. I had to dig out my truck out of the spot, but we're here. We're here, and it's a great day. I hope you guys are having a great week. And wanted to touch on something this week, that I wasn't able to touch on last week. It really took me a little bit to process everything that's going on. And since then, there's been a slew of articles. It's one of those things when you hear a rumor, especially a Star Wars rumor, and you're not sure if okay, so I don't even know if I should be sharing this with friends or if I should be, adding to the rumor mill on the legitimacy of whether this is actually going to happen. But this particular rumor, as crazy as it's going to sound, has some legs to it. And the fact is that it's being reported on in a lot of different places. A lot of fans are starting to really start a conversation about it. But really, it's really started before this announcement came out. So the news that I'm talking about here, and again, if you're joining us via YouTube, if you're watching us, please make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe and you make sure that you do those things and you share and check out some of our other videos after this one. You can watch our previous episodes of Star Wars Car Talk. You can also check out some other episodes. We have toy unboxings and toy reviews and toy hunt videos, and it's Jedi Toy Masters. We're Star Wars fans. We're a Star Wars family. We love Star Wars toys and everything that has to do with Star Wars. So that's the little plug for that. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Anchor or wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, wherever, please make sure on iTunes especially you write us a nice little review because it really helps out so people can discover this podcast. There's so many great Star Wars podcasts, and I just hope that this could be part of your little playlist of Star Wars podcasts that you listen to. And maybe you're listening to it in the car, which is cool because I'm talking to you in the car. But the news that we're talking about here is that Lucasfilm and Disney are planning to do some kind of reboot or redo of the Sequel Trilogy. And when I first heard this, I was like, as amazing as that may sound in theory, the logistics of that are just not great. I mean, you look at Zack Snyder and the fact that Warner and AT&T, Warner, HBO Plus, that whole thing, that whole deal, they gave him something like $70 million so that he can go and finish the Justice League that he had already filmed. And he basically only had to go and film a couple of little pickup shots, but then all of the special effects and the CGI and all that stuff is what, and then the score, he had to redo the score that he had originally intended. But that's still, that for a movie that was basically already complete, It's still $70 million, and it's going to be released on HBO Max in March, which I'm excited about that. But think about that as an example. Is Disney really going to spend millions of dollars to basically like redo this trilogy? The answer is no. They're not going to do that. They're in the business of making money. You know, they bought Star Wars and Lucasfilm so that they can make money. And they have made money. The sequel trilogy, like it or love it or hate it, or be in between or be indifferent, chances are you went to go see it and you spent money. And if you're a Star Wars fan, you saw it more than once. So they made their money and they made a profit and they made money. The only movie that they can consider a flop and it still made money was Solo. So the sequel trilogy, from a financial perspective, was a success. Now, it left a lot of fans with kind of like a bitter taste in their mouth because it wasn't really what they were expecting. And because of the fact that we know all these backstories of like just the mess that it was to make these movies, like they were not thought out. That, you know, you had, we can talk about this forever, but the idea of going back and completely redoing all three of these movies, just because Luke Skywalker's appearance on The Mandalorian was a big hit and it's what everybody wanted, all the fans wanted, and we got what we wanted. We got to see Luke Skywalker as a young Jedi Master Knight, super duper Jedi hero, you know, be amazing. We saw it. It was great. But now, does that merit spending millions of dollars to put out 3 new movies and disregard the movies that you already put out? They're not going to do that. So what the theory is, the theory goes on to say is that, and you could just do a Google search. There's tons of Reddit articles and, you know, just articles describing what this whole thing is. But in a nutshell, what it's implying is that not redo these movies, but kind of like re-release them, a la George Lucas Special Edition, and basically almost like re-edits of these movies, re-edits so that they can incorporate certain things or change certain aspects of the story, or really make all 3 movies kind of complement each other better and kind of like tell a more complete story. So, you know, because obviously they're not gonna bring back any of the characters. They're not gonna bring back, you know, Finn, Rey, and Poe. Like, I doubt. I'll put money that they would not, even if they offered them a lot of money, they're not gonna come back to film scenes to kind of do something different with what they've already did. Maybe, I could be wrong, but the whole idea is, in The Force Awakens, apparently there was a scene with Han, Luke, and Leia, and from what the rumors and the leaks, apparent leaks say, is that it's like a 10-minute scene that all 3 of them are in, and so the idea is that scene could potentially change a lot of the story of what happened in the 3 movies. And so I don't know how they can possibly do it. I mean, you know, there are people that have done like the Phantom edits and kind of re-edited the prequels to kind of make them a little bit more, you know, mesh a little bit better or whatever. I mean, in a certain point of view, but the idea that we can get potentially a completely new vision of the Star Wars sequels is kind of exciting. I'm not going to lie, and I can see happening. They make that decision to do it. They go ahead and I don't know who they would hire to be at the forefront of this. Maybe you get Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and maybe you can get the input of George Lucas to come in and kind of like create almost like these special edition versions of the sequel trilogy. And you don't release them theatrically, you release them on Disney Plus. that would bring the Disney Plus numbers up. I mean, the idea of like, wait, these are new Star Wars movies based on the movies that came out already, and they're going to exist on here. Yeah, I think it would definitely bring in a lot of eyeballs and a lot of pocketbooks, new subscriptions for sure. So I could totally see them doing that. They, kind of like repackaging these movies, re-releasing them on Disney Plus, and then kind of building stories, because they're already kind of doing that, with Mandalorian Season 3, Boba Fett, you have the Acolyte, you have the Ahsoka series, you have the Commando, what is it? Commandos, New Republic Commandos or something. Like these shows are going to tie in and lead in directly to the sequel trilogy. So, you could potentially do away with Palpatine altogether, that he was a clone and he's related to Rey. You can basically like wipe out that storyline, and you could basically say, okay, well then, Grand Admiral Thrawn is the one that helped start the First Order, and he's in the background, and then maybe he was the one that created Snoke in an attempt to kind of resurrect Palpatine in a way, so yeah, I could totally see that being a very possible scenario there. I can totally see that being something that that would happen. Now, will it happen? That's another question. Will it happen? But I think there's definitely a possibility that something like that can happen. The other thing too is that the other kind of idea floating around, and it was kind of like a theory, and I think it makes sense. The way it was explained is you have the Ahsoka series, and if you look at the logo for the Ahsoka series, I'll put it over here so you can see it. If you watch Star Wars Rebels, you'll notice that in Star Wars Rebels, there was a couple episodes that talked about the world between worlds. And it's kind of like this space where time and, the Force kind of meet. And I forget how it was explained in Star Wars Rebels. It's kind of an interesting concept. And it's definitely a concept that was introduced by Dave Filoni. And I'm pretty sure it was with the blessing of George Lucas. So the idea is that so Ahsoka basically was saved. She was going to be killed by Darth Vader, and Ezra saved her. Spoiler alert. Ezra saved her by pulling her into the world between worlds, all these portals that you can see. Kind of like Doctor Strange and those portals. So the fact that Ahsoka is alive now, it means that this potentially could be like an altered universe, an altered timeline. So what's to say that the sequel trilogy takes place in an altered timeline or an unaltered timeline? And what we're seeing now, from Star Wars Rebels to Mandalorian to what all the shows that are coming, is this new timeline. So the sequel trilogy is based on a timeline where none of that happened, and Ahsoka died and Vader destroyed her, and that's why she's not mentioned again. So that's an interesting idea, that the Ahsoka show can potentially explain that. That could be the show that basically uses Ahsoka as that catalyst to say, moving forward, this is a new timeline. This is a new era, a new time, or whatever. And it's a very convenient way for Lucasfilm and Disney to kind of backpedal in a way, because let's face it, the sequel trilogy as individual films, like if you were not a Star Wars fan and you just watched those 3 movies and you were like, oh wow, okay, interesting story. I kind of remember the originals. Like if you saw the originals, and I think that's the thing. I think with the sequel trilogy, if you only watched the first 3 Star Wars movies that were created by George Lucas, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then you went on to live your life and you didn't dwell on them and obsess over them like us Star Wars fans, and then you came back and you watched Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker, you would say, okay, interesting. Like, that's an interesting sequel to the original Star Wars movies. Like, okay. And you kind of understand that, all right, little girls are going to be inspired and grow up to want to be like Rey, and, Rey is the hero, and, okay, you get it. But if you look at it entirely, if you look at it as a whole, like what George Lucas was building, with the original trilogy, and then going back and exploring more in the prequels, and then exploring even more in the Clone Wars animated show, and the possibility of doing an animated a live action show about the underworld and all that stuff. And there was so much that could be explored. I mean, you look at Star Trek. Sorry, guys, but if you look at Star Trek, you had the original show, you had the movies, you had all these other spin-off shows. It's all building a world, building a universe, building a galaxy of possibilities and different characters and people and stories. That's what George Lucas created and was moving forward, and at the same time moving technology as well. So using the movies as an excuse to basically try new things and move technology forward. I think Disney kind of didn't get that at first. They were just like, let's just take this as an opportunity to rebrand Star Wars and make it more Disney, make it more what we want, make it more, I don't know, put some things that are relevant to today, I guess, they were trying to make Star Wars relevant. Well, you don't need to make Star Wars relevant because Star Wars is timeless. But yeah, so this theory, if you look it up, it would be a new Force Awakens with this scene of the three characters that I can't even imagine what that scene must have been like. And it's probably the best kept secret in Hollywood, because poor Mark Hamill has been so disappointed with this sequel trilogy, and he's not hitting it. And yet he's never mentioned or hinted at that this scene took place. He's lamented that he was never able to do a scene with Han and Leia, like the three of them. And he's lamented that he's never been able to work with with Harrison Ford again. But this sounds interesting. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know. Message me over at Jedi Toy Masters on Instagram. And you can watch other episodes at Star Wars Card Talk on Instagram. But message me over at Jedi Toy Masters, or comment below here here on YouTube, and let me know, like, what do you think about this theory, this Star Wars theory, pun intended? Because it's just interesting to see that this could be a way to explain a lot of things, and using the shows to explain a lot of things, why things are different now. And the fact that I'm telling you, the fact that we saw Luke Skywalker in all his glory in the last episode of Mandalorian, I think it opened up a can of worms, a good can of worms, a delicious can of worms. And so I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I definitely see the possibility of them using the TV shows, and especially with the Ahsoka, because she's searching for Admiral Thrawn. We know that based on the ending of Star Wars Rebels, Ezra is somewhere out there lost in space with Admiral Thrawn, or maybe, who knows what happened. Maybe they ended up in the Outer Rim somewhere and it connects maybe it connects to that Sith homeworld or Sith planet where Palpatine is cloning himself. Maybe that will be a part of it or incorporated into that. Who knows? Will we see Ezra? I mean, he's a Jedi. Will we see Ezra? A lot of good questions, and I can't wait to see what happens. So anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think. And as always, it's good to be a Star Wars fan. It's exciting. 2021 is shaping up to be amazing. We still have some great things to look forward to. Man, we got the Bad Batch. We got a lot of cool Star Wars toys coming out this year. We got I got a video coming out soon where my sons are going to react to these all the new figures that are coming out in 2021 that they released, Black Series and Vintage Collection. So check that out. Be on the lookout for that. If you subscribe to our channel, make sure you do the bell and the notifications so that you know when a new video goes up. And man, I mean, between the toys, the books, the stories, and the possibilities of these new shows, and the possibility of maybe new versions of the sequel trilogy, it's kind of interesting. And we haven't even touched on kind of like the weird backlash that the High Republic books are getting. Now, some people love them, some people hate them. You know, some people think they're great. Some people think they're way too, I don't know, like they're forcing certain agendas onto the Star Wars platform. But I haven't checked them out, so I can't really make an educated opinion on it. But I'm just glad to be right now in this era of Star Wars fandom. So guys, thanks for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe. Again, I keep saying that. And like, it's just, can you imagine like 3 new, not new, but re-edited movies that actually make the sequel trilogy digestible? Like for me, like that I'll actually like it and maybe even incorporate some of the, like, can you imagine Ahsoka being in the sequel trilogy? Maybe she's like a main character, since you can't really have Leia. You make Ahsoka in there, or maybe you kill off Leia the way she apparently died in the Last Jedi, where she kind of floated into space, and maybe that's how she dies. And maybe there's like a big funeral after that or something, and maybe Ahsoka comes, or I don't know. I just think it would be interesting. Maybe Admiral Akbar doesn't die. Did you think about that? Maybe Han Solo doesn't die. Maybe Kylo Ren isn't Kylo Ren. Maybe Kylo Ren is like a different villain, and you recast somebody to be the son of Leia and Luke. Or maybe Rey is the daughter of Han and Leia, and Kylo Ren is just Kylo Ren, or Kylo, you know? Maybe Kylo Ren is like a clone of Palpatine, like a young clone. And he stays in the helmet because he's deformed, because he's a deformed clone. And maybe that's why he has the powers of Grogu, and he's like so powerful in this Force, he can like stop a laser blast in midair. Whew. There's a lot we can do if you tinker with those movies and add some stuff and take away some stuff. So, whew. Anyway, guys, this is it for this week, and remember,
The Force will be with you, always.